with Brett Carver now, who leads our wheat improvement team. And Brett, we're here in your research area. Let's talk about some of the things you're visiting with producers about.
Yes, today we're talking about some of the more advanced lines in our program that have made it to the point where we can test them in cooperation with commercial bakers. We have two classes of wheat represented in this lineup. 16 are hardwood winter and 4 are hard white. Of the 16 hardwood winters, we have 2 that now have approval from the Oklahoma Agriculture Experiment Station to be released and the seed produced to be distributed to seed producers. And those 2 we really ought to say some things about, because I think producers really need to know about them. There's going to be plenty of seed available this summer if everything goes okay from this point forward. So far, so good. But before we talk about the new releases, maybe we ought to talk about where we have been, because this has had an influence at least on one of those releases, and that's Gallagher. Gallagher is certainly one of the most popular varieties in the state. It leads the state according to the NASS survey. So we know there's a lot of acres out there. We know that that's a genetic background that is acceptable to our wheat producers and to our millers and bakers. So it'll be a great genetic background to build upon, to go to the next variety. And certainly we did that with an experimental line that we had numbered 11D25056. We actually started testing that line in 2011. That's the reason for the 11. The D is because it's a double haploid, which circumvents some of the conventional breeding process. We can generate an inbred line much quicker that way. We also missed some opportunities for selection, which can be a negative, but the big positive is we can turn around a variety much quicker. Instead of waiting about 10 years for a descendant from Gallagher to hit seed producers in the market out there, we now have gone basically Gallagher was released in 2012, I believe. And here it is 2017. We already have ample seed to go out to the market of Gallagher's descendant. So we cut that time in half, basically.
So that's definitely exciting, that much faster to advance the science. Smith's Gold is one of the newest varieties just released. Tell us how it is related to Gallagher and these other experimental lines.
Smith's Gold is directly related to Gallagher. Gallagher constitutes 1/2 of the parentage of Smith's Gold. The other involves an experimental line from OSU that it itself involves familiar genetics to our wheat producers, one of which is 2174, an older variety from the 1990s, and then TAM 110. It was the TAM 110 source that we were able to take green bug resistance from and combine it with the Hessian fly resistance from 2174 and package it in a Gallagher background. And that was the primary motivation for producing Smith's Gold. Out of that process, we increased yield potential, and you can see it to some extent in the size of the heads compared to Gallagher. I think head number would be about the same as Gallagher, but the size of the head will be bigger. And that's where I think we're getting that yield advantage. But in addition to that, Gallagher has provided some really good stripe rust resistance. Stripe rust is a ravaging disease. It was in 2015 and 2016, not so much in 17. That's okay, it'll come back, believe me. And when it does, we think we have a better variety to handle that. In fact, we have done enough testing outside of Oklahoma to know that this variety does very well against other stripe rust races that are present in our country right now. So we have pretty good confidence for this being a stripe rust resistant variety.
Okay, next we have 10126.
This variety is quite different from the Gallagher background. We're going to have to talk about a totally different genetic background with this experimental line, and think about Jagger. Jagger was very popular in Oklahoma, certainly in Kansas where it originated. Jagger was one of the parents that produced one of our wheat varieties called OK Bullet. And OK Bullet has been used in our program profusely. I mean, it is spread throughout our program. One of the descendants of OK Bullet is this experimental line, 10126. We've had this in the program now under test for quite a bit of time, since 2010. And where we have noticed it doing best is under higher yield conditions, best yield conditions in north central Oklahoma and out in the panhandle. So under irrigation, this has a very high yield ceiling. A yield ceiling though or high yield ceiling doesn't do much good unless you have good straw strength. And so that was a characteristic that we really tried hard to achieve. A lot of our germplasm, but it really comes true in this one. So a 10126 being a descendant of Bullet, we thought what a perfect name would be is Spirit Rider, because they are truly linked to the saddle. They are closely related, and
then that OSU tradition.
Exactly. This is definitely an OSU tradition being continued.
And you have seed available, like you mentioned, for producers when they start making those decisions in the summer and early fall.
Right, and it's hard to say exactly what amount of seed will be available, but if things go right, it looks like about 10,000 bushels or more of Smith's Gold will be available, and about 5,000 bushels of Spirit Rider, and that's foundation seed.
Terrific. Okay, Brett, thanks a lot.
Thank you.